October, Monday. Every October there's a competition between all of the towns in my state to see which one can make the best pizza. It's more competitive than some people think, but my town, called Plainview, has what I think is the worst idea for a special pizza. Let me present the Plainview Special, and yes, it tastes as boring as it looks. While other towns have pizzas with special toppings, but Plainview's special pizza is just a freaking cheese pizza. It's pretty obvious that this is why Plainview has never won the competition in 53 years. Tuesday. You might be wondering, why do I care and what's your problem, Greg Heffley? But the reason why I even mentioned the event is because I made a better pizza. It might even out Pizza the Hut. I know, impossible, right? So, allow me to present my magnum opus, the Drummy's Pizza. Me and my best friend Raleigh have spent years trying to make the perfect pizza recipe. But, as it turns out, putting Drummy's on a cheese pizza tasted better than everything we came up with. And after more tests, we finally perfected a recipe. Wednesday. You know how I said I normally don't care about a pizza tournament? Well, everyone else loves it, even though we've never won in decades. Also, people have been trying to actually kill each other over pineapple pizza today. And even worse stuff happened today, but if I'm gonna become rich and famous, I can't put that stuff in here, or my journal won't be allowed to be read by kids. Thursday. Me and Raleigh have spent around 3 days making sure that nobody knows what's in our special pizza. And now that we're sure it's ready, we've started making ads for it today. Now, none of them are ready yet, but I'm sure that people will be begging us for the recipe the second we release the pizza. Friday. Me and Raleigh realized that some people might try to compete with us, so we decided to spark a gender war to distract everyone. Psst, hey gals, you didn't hear from me, but I heard that John Carney said that women are just upgraded dishwashers. He said what? Now, John Carney is probably the third greatest pizza maker at my school, so I told Raleigh to name John specifically so that he couldn't compete with us anymore. And as planned, all heck broke loose. And that's where me and Raleigh played both sides of the war by selling out pizza and resulting food fight. After we sold about 14 pizzas, some idiot threw a pizza with hot sauce and bell peppers into the school's pizza oven, and now the entire freaking school was on fire. So me and Raleigh booked it, and now I have no place to taste my pizza, because the school is my best bet for finding people who would try my pizza, since the cafeteria pizza is so dry it somehow absorbs all of the spit in my mouth. But I'm just glad it wasn't me and Raleigh's pizza that was the one that burned down the school, because that'd be pretty hard to explain to Dad. But since I only have around 50 boxes of Drummies left, I'll have to find somebody with a ton of meat who's desperate enough to sell it all to a middle schooler for a low price. But it's impossible, so I give up. Saturday. As it turns out, that finding a person like that was actually pretty easy. There's a store in my town I've completely forgotten about. It's called Marconi's Sub Shop. Now, Marconi's Sub Shop has all of the meats me and Raleigh need to make our pizza, and I'm very sure that Marconi is desperate to sell off as much of stuff as he can, because it was shut down for health code violations last year. Also, last year, Mr. Marconi sponsored my school's basketball team, which never even won a single game for the entire season. So, I'm not going to spend more than $10 on this, because I'll just keep looking if he declines my offer. Sunday. Getting all the meats was easier than I thought. Yeah, it turns out Mr. Marconi instantly sold it all to me for only $5, so not every topping, but I still don't have anyone to try the pizza, and there's remote learning at school tomorrow, because they're still rebuilding the school right now. Man, if only there was a place filled with people who already want to eat pizza that could give my pizza to them for free. Wait a minute. Yeah, I remember now. I think I know a place like that, and it's called Pizza Hut. Hopefully my plan works, because it's a real pain to carry pizzas across town. Monday. Today I found out that a lot of teachers actually don't know how to use a computer. Perfect for me. So, I just spent most of the day using the meat to make a ton of pizzas. I even got Mom to take me to the store to get more Drummies. I made so many pizzas that I'm now tired, and Rally liked school too much to skip it, even though there was like only one class with an actual teacher in it. So, it looks like I'm on my own for now. Tuesday. I did it! I finally did it! I out-pizzaed the hut, but for some reason, I feel like that's a mistake. Let me explain. So, I was walking down to a local hut, fresh baked pie in my hand. Try this, I said to the guy working at the counter. He did, and he said, "Huh, this is better than anything pizza has to offer. I'm impressed, kid." I couldn't believe it. I did it. I out-pizzaed the hut. Soon, everyone near the store came over to feast on my delicious pie, and after around 30 minutes, the manager walked into the room. Now, this was the boss, the best pizza maker in Plainview. His approval meant more to me than anyone else in this entire planet combined. So, he grabbed a slice, took a bite, and said this. "Huh, you did it. You actually out-pizzaed the hut." Shame. Shame? Shame? What did he mean by that? Eventually I decided to stop thinking about what he said and celebrate that I actually out-pizzaed the hut. I've already told Rowley about this, and now he's fully committed to helping me make the rest of the ads. And here's one of them. "If you don't eat Greg heavily at Rowley's Pizza, you'll end up looking like me." I let Rowley work on the script on that one, and there's about 5 finished ads and 11 are still being worked on. But once we're done, I'll use Dad's photocopier to make hundreds of ads to place around town, and I might even be able to join and win the state finals for the pizza tournament. Oh yeah, I forgot to write about it. But essentially, it's like a sports tournament. But instead of points, it's the most delicious pizza each team makes that decides the winner. Now, I've always wanted to join a tournament. And now that I've finally out-pizzaed the hut, I finally have a shot at this. Wednesday. Word go around fast that I've out-pizzaed the hut. And now, people are begging me to reveal the recipe, even though I haven't even started selling the pizza yet. Greg, can I have your recipe? Wrong number. Also, me and Rowley have finally finished most of the ads, but Dad's been busy on something at work. So, we're gonna have to wait for Dad to buy more paper. Thursday. Me and Rowley finally finished making all the ads today. We also put some on a school, which is now halfway rebuilt. Anyways, me and Rowley had finally made a pizza stand right outside my house. And, as a precaution, made a fake recipe if someone tries to steal it. It has some toxic stuff like cyanide. So, now, I think that we're ready to start selling pizza. Friday. Me and Rowley finally opened up our pizza shop today. And we decided to call it Greg and Rowley's. And about 13 minutes after we opened up, a massive line of people gathered in front of my house. And it was way bigger than I expected. Me and Rowley sold dozens of our special pizza. And our 42nd customer was actually a person who worked for the pizza tournament. It turns out he was going around town and taste testing people's pizza to see which person in town had made the best special pizza. And me and Rowley's pizza was the most delicious and unique one that he had ever tasted so far. And he would allow both of us to enter the tournament. So, in other words, this was his reaction. "This pizza, it's so good. Mwah. Chef's kiss, chef's kiss." Me and Rowley decided to accept, but on the condition that we got to team up and not have to go against each other, since we both created a pizza. The tournament starts on Monday, so me and Rowley have plenty of time to prepare for the 4 to 5 people we'll have to beat to win this. I've even heard that there's some guy from the town over who got into the tournament without even making a pizza, so I think this will be a breeze for me. And Rowley, we are equals after all. Monday, me and Rowley arrived at Domino City, the place where all of the pizza tournaments are held. And once we entered Monarcham Stadium, we quickly realized that our competition was a lot better at making pizzas than we realized. There was John Carney, who looked like he saw a ghost, and a bunch of people who had very unique kinds of pizza. For example, since me and Raleigh aren't going to go against him, there was this guy named Mr. Haraini Zumi. I think he was a guy who didn't make a pizza and still somehow got in, since he only had Totino's and 2 pizzas, one with onion rings for some reason, and a pepperoni pizza as well. That was obviously from Pizza Hut. He was just playing for his game console, so I left him alone. Tuesday, the first round was today. It was me and Raleigh against John Carney and his older brother Mike. I bet that they would have beaten us if they weren't trying to screw each other up, which is why I wasn't surprised when Mike presented a ball of cheese as their pizza. Me and Raleigh obviously won, and we even got to see the results. Just 2 more victories and we'll ace this tournament. Now, me and Raleigh are going to face Matt Ligazimo in the next round, and I think that he's going to be very easy to beat. But I'm curious about one thing though. How the heck did Mr. Hirazimo win? He doesn't look like he has a good pizza, so I'm pretty sure that something's rigged. Tuesday, me and Raleigh were up against Matt today, and he was actually pretty nice. Hi, I'm just doing this for a lol, so I don't really care who wins. As it turns out, Matt didn't really care about winning. He mainly wanted to play video games in the lobby and got sidetracked. So, me and Raleigh won pretty easily. Since Matt only made a cheese pizza, I do wonder what his first opponent made that caused him to win. Thursday, today everyone still in the game got to take a breather for the day. Me and Raleigh decided to go to the town's local park and watch people nearly step on dog poop. It was hilarious. What? Now, watching people step on dog poop was really funny, but I thought I heard someone say, "No one out-pizzas the Hut," but it might just be me being paranoid though. Friday, today was the finals, and it was me and Raleigh versus Mr. Hirazimo. Me and Raleigh started the Drummy's pizza from our backpack to show to the judges, but before we could show it to the judges, Mr. Hirazimo uses onion ring and pepperoni pizzas to create something that instantly made me realize how he even got into this tournament. That absolute mad lad recreated Totino's pizza rolls in only 13 seconds. And so, he easily won. And he even got the cash prize of $69,420 that I didn't even know existed until just then. Me and Raleigh were bummed out and were about to leave when he said something. I'm sorry for ruining your life's goals with pizza rolls. I had no idea that there was a prize, so you can have $1,000. It turns out Mr. Hirazimo is actually a pretty chill dude. So me and Raleigh said goodbye to him and headed back to Plainview, which has now reached the top 3 for the first time in 53 years. Thanks to us, obviously. Monday, even though the main tournament's over, there's still one major pizza-related event this month. The Super Cutter. The 2 winners of the biggest pizza tournament in my country, the Pizza Tournament and the Pizzaleo Championship, try to create the perfect pizza in only 3 hours, while ads for the biggest meat, veggie, dough, and pizza cutter companies play every 2 minutes. Now, me and Raleigh didn't win, so me and him are just gonna sit back, relax, and watch Super Cutter on live TV. Tuesday. Today was actually a pretty successful day for me and Raleigh, because we finally made $10,000 and actually bought out Papa Tony's Pizza. I know, it's crazy. So, me and him are gonna move a pizza store there tomorrow. Anyways, for some reason, people around the state have been protesting Mr. Hirazimo's win in the pizza tournament, but I don't get it though. Also, for some reason, I think I heard somebody say, "No one out-pizzas the Hut" again when I went to the ice cream store. Weird. I've got no idea why I keep hearing someone say that, but I've only heard it twice. One more, either I'm going crazy or someone's out to get me. Sunday. I've taken a break from writing this since absolutely nothing's changed since Monday. The Super Cutter was today though, so now I finally have something to write about. Now, I didn't really care to remember the name Mr. Harazumi's opponent, but I guess he wanted to prove a point as he not only made pizza rolls, but also hot dog pizza that was pre-cut using a porcupine-themed pizza cutter. His opponent made a vegan pizza, and even though that's pretty impressive, she obviously lost. I mean, rule number 1, don't put broccoli in pizza. I will say though, the game was pretty interesting, but there were a lot of cool ads too.
Are you tired of boring regular pizza cutters that only slice pizza?
This guy's right. I am getting bored of regular pizza cutters that only slice pizza. I really like a super cutter, just like every other year. So, this time, I decided to place an ad there on Thursday. Now, everyone in the state knows about me and Rowley's store. So now me and him will be raking in the cash. November, Monday. It's been around a month since the beginning of the pizza tournament, and I'm pretty sad it's now over. The school reopened today, and I thought everything was gonna go back to normal until...
No! Don't let the bell pepper pizza hit the oven! We already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in this new school!
Yes, somebody threw another hot sauce with bell peppers pizza into the school's oven. And now the school's burned down for the second time in 3 weeks. I guess people realize that if they keep doing that, the school will keep having to rebuild for the rest of the year. And I'm completely okay with that because it means me and Rowley can keep working on a pizzeria. I can even sell this journal as a history book 25 years from now. And if that happens, below here is a signature from the co-founder of Greg and Rowley's Pizza, Greg Heffley himself. Man, hopefully something interesting happens so I keep updating this journal. But nothing pizza related is going to happen for the rest of the year, so I'm starting to lose hope. Tuesday. Uh-oh, somebody stole me and Rowley's fake recipe for the pizza today. I think that the person who made it is going to copy it and sell it to people. But I'm going to stay inside, just in case someone tries to sell it to me. If absolutely nothing happens, I guess that means I indirectly killed a person. But if that happens, nobody will find out. Well, unless I sell this journal with this page in it. Thursday. I've waited for 2 days and so far nothing's happened. That's a good thing, I guess. A lot's happened in the course of a month. And for some reason, 3/4 of my journal has been cut out, so it looks like I've run out of paper. It's been a fun journey, but it looks like this is the end. October, Monday. It's been a year since I've written any kind of journal, and I kind of regret not doing that because, wow, it's been a crazy year. Long story short, I was cancelled thanks to my fake recipe, and 2 me's from another universe came to help me get uncancelled, but that's a story for another time. Anyways, you might be wondering why it took me so long to start writing journals again, but it's pretty obvious, isn't it? That's because the pizza tournament is finally back, and this time, I'll make sure that me and Rowley will win. Tuesday. Man, I've always hated school, but it hasn't been truly awful until recently. Remember how people kept burning down the school with jalapeno pepper pizzas with hot sauce? Well, when the 5th time it happened, the school finally installed a steel pizza oven. But that didn't stop some people from wriggling those pizza into spray cans and spraying the grease into teachers' faces.
Ah, my eyes.
Also, it turns out the pizza spray was legally pepper spray, so the school was shut down for 6 weeks. And only less than 2 weeks after that, even more people collected enough grease to fuel and set off a freaking bomb in the cafeteria. Yeah, a freaking bomb. A real one.
You've gotta be kidding me. We just repaired that last week.
After that incident, the school somehow already rebuilt in only a week and started having bomb squads come in every Tuesday. But this didn't stop them from tossing Vice Principal Roy into the pizza oven. Don't worry, he survived, but the state had to shut down the school after that incident. And to make things worse, it turns out that Plainview doesn't have any middle schools, well, other than Westmore. So, me, Rowley, and a quarter of the other people from Westmore ended up having to move to stupid church school. The school sucks! It doesn't even have a cooking class like Westmore did, and so far, we haven't even had pizza for lunch.
Sure, Westmore's pizza, nearly sucked up all the blood in my body in 3rd grade, but it was, technically, still pizza. And even worse, every time I bring up pizza in class, all the teachers say the same exact thing over and over. I'm afraid not. You see, Jesus died before pizza was invented, Greg. What? Oh well, at least I only have to stay here for a year before I go to high school. I heard they have pesto sauce at Crossland. Friday. It turns out there's no easy way to sign up for the pizza tournament. It seems the way me and Rally did it last year was the only possible way. Now, that wasn't really a problem. We just set up the pizza stand from last year in front of my house and waited for all the customers to come right in. And it seemed we were doing twice as well as last time, but after about 4 hours, we started getting less customers. I saw a kind of mid-line build up across the street, and when I went to see what it was about, I was shocked. Aw, my sweet baby's making his own business. Mom? Manny? Yeah, it turns out Mom and Manny opened their own pizza stand. And there was no way I was gonna let some noob like Manny try to steal my thunder. So, I took a peek at one of his pizzas, to see what I was going up against. It was one of those ice cream pizzas, like the ones you get from an ice cream truck, but I still didn't want to take any chances, so I had Rally get the special pizzas. Are you sure, Greg? Joshy says you shouldn't put common allergens in food. Listen, just do it, Rowley. It's not like everyone is allergic to pesto sauce. Okay, Greg, but if anything happens, it's on you. After Rowley brought the pizzas, the guy who got us into the tournament last year showed up. He went up to me, bought a pesto and bell pepper pizza, ate a slice, and said, "That was amazing! You made a new pizza knowing that leaving the tournament is a manual process." Wait, I didn't need to make a new flavor? I feel so stupid now. We won over Mom and Manny, but since I didn't really know how rejoining a tournament worked, the entire thing was pointless. We sold through the rest of the pizzas an hour after that, and me and Rowley ended up making $200. So that kinda makes up for the wasted time. Oh, and you might have noticed I've never written about what kind of pizza we're gonna use to win the tournament. Well, for security reasons, I'm not gonna reveal it until me and Rowley, hopefully, get into the finals next week. Monday. It's day 1 of the pizza tournament, and this time around, the people in charge decided to add weird gimmicks to spice things up. Me and Rally went up against John Carney from last year, but this time he wasn't with his brother. The gimmick for this round was that we had to make all the ingredients from scratch in a garden. When the match began, I immediately took about 7 tomatoes, and I had Rally dig for peppers. There weren't any meats around, so we needed to get very creative if we wanted to win. But, lucky for me, while Raleigh was plucking out basil leaves from the ground, I found a ton of corn. You see, it turns out it's actually possible to make flour out of corn. So, I grounded up about 3 dozen cobs to make the dough, and after that, I made a tomato sauce and an extra batch of pizza dough for the pizza's gimmick. Raleigh finally came back with all the veggies a minute later, and I put him in charge for the gimmick while I worked on the base of the pizza. Once both of us were done, we combined it into a stuffed crust pizza. Mwah! The 1 hour time limit went off about 5 minutes after we were done, and the judges started tasting the pizzas. John's pizza was taste tested first. Before I win this round, I would like to thank my uncle for teaching me how to make sauce. 0 out of 10 pizza! Too much grass! We won this round by a lot, and I didn't even have to whip out the special pizza. Man, if all the gimmicks are as simple as today's one, me and Rally will dominate the entire roster. Wednesday. Me and Rally are scheduled for breaks on Tuesday and Thursday, so today's technically day 2. This time's gimmick was that me, Rally, and our opponent were stuffed into 2 separate walk-in freezers, and we had to grab a pizza, escape the room as fast as possible, and cook the pizza. There wasn't anything in the room other than the 5 DiGiorno's boxes, so me and Rowley emptied out the boxes and found a key pizza. And no, not a pizza shaped like key, a pizza with keys as toppings. I know it's as weird as it sounds. We used one of the keys from the pizza to escape the walk-in freezer, but we ended up having a new problem. You see, there wasn't anything here we could use to heat up the pizza. I even went back into the freezer to look for anything, but all I found was this stupid pizza cutter. Oh no, I can't find anything, Rowley. We're gonna lose. We came so far. Don't worry, Greg. I've come up with a plan that can help us win. Rowley didn't point at the studio lights above us. At first, I had no idea what he was pointing out, but I soon figured it out pretty quickly. It turns out that one of the lights that was attached to the ceiling was actually supported by a rope. So, we had to somehow cut the rope and use the light to start a fire for the pizza. Rowley's idea for doing that was super simple. The pizza cutter was very sharp. It could probably cut something as soft as a pizza, so it probably won't have any trouble for rope. So, I tossed the pizza cutter directly at the rope a bunch of times, and on my 8th try, I finally got the rope to break. The rope caught on fire instantly, and so me and Rowley used it to reheat the pizza. Me and Rowley ended up getting a 7.8 out of 10, and while opponent got a wait a minute, I don't think I ever saw them leave the other walk-in freezer. I think I should call the cops about that. Yeah, I should probably do that right now. Thursday. It turns out that the opponent from last game almost died from frostbite, so today's rounds were cancelled to pay for legal damages. So, I decided to take advantage of a 2-day break to go back to Plainview and stock up on toppings. It turns out that having pizza 3 times a day completely drained me and Rowley's supplies. I haven't been to me and Rowley's pizzeria in about 4 months. Restaurants usually make the most money around noon, so we barely made a profit even before I was cancelled for the, cyanide and food thing. But if me and Rowley win the tournament, we'd have enough money to hire people to do it for us, and we would make all the money for ourselves. Anyways, the shop was emptied out, so I went home to get my backup supplies and my sausage maker. Plus, I would have gone home anyway. And that's because I spent the whole weekend leading up the pizza tournament designing a pizza box for a super cutter ad. Now, I've already used the money me and Rowley earned last week to pay for ad space, so even if we lose, we'll still get tons of promotion for our business. Friday. The finals happened today. It was kinda rushed because Thursday's matches were cancelled, so the finals were about 2 hours late. The match itself was about as basic as you could get. Me, Rowley, some guy named Chris was taken to a gourmet kitchen and had to make the best pizza possible in only an hour, just like last year. But I was really stoked because we could finally make the special pizza. So while Rowley was kneading the dough, I stuffed my sausage maker full of drummies. After that, I brought out half a dozen of Roderick's smelly soxes. That's because I've been using them to grow a second topping, mushrooms. You see, during one of the few times Westmore wasn't being shut down, I ended up learning about fungi in class. It turns out that mushrooms can grow in really nasty places like, for example, my brother Roderick's laundry pile. And sure enough, after checking, there were mushrooms at the bottom of the pile, but they weren't enough to make a pizza, so I stuffed all of them in Roderick's dirtiest pairs of socks. And to my luck, that method actually worked. And after I cleaned and cut up the mushrooms, I split the drummy sausage I made into a bunch of small bits. When you put all of that together and add some pepperoni, you get my magnum opus, my grand creation, the ultimate pizza. It was by far the greatest pizza I've ever made in my entire life. I even teared up a little when Rowley took it out of the pizza oven. About 15 minutes later, it was time to show off the pizzas. Chris ended up going first. That was my pepperoni and olive pizza. It's actually been passed down my family for generations. Kid, I got to say, you made a good pizza. Unfortunately, it's not something that me or anyone else watching this match on TV couldn't just make at home, so an 8 out of 10. Me and Rally were up next. So, after handing the pizza, we watched as the judge scarfed down the pizza in only 3 bites, and after doing so, he got up and said, "Kid, that was the greatest pizza I have ever tasted in my entire life. A 10 out of 10 pizza. You know what? 100 out of 10 pizza." We did it. We actually did it. We finally won the tournament. And even better, we won the $69,420 cash prize. And so me and Rally split it 50-50. We're gonna move on to the super cutter on Sunday. And with these mushrooms, I'm pretty sure we're gonna obliterate the competition. Saturday. Turns out I used up all the mushrooms yesterday. I checked Roderick's laundry for some, but he announced at dinner yesterday that he somehow got a girlfriend. Now, him getting a girlfriend wasn't the issue, but the issue was Roderick decided to have a better hygiene to impress the girl, and he ended up killing any mushrooms I could have used for backup. Now, I hate to say it, but the mushrooms that grew out of Roderick's dirty laundry tastes better than any mushroom pizza I've ever had, and it's probably the reason we even won that competition. Now, it'll probably take a week tops for Roderick to get dumped, but until then, me and Rally are gonna have to use inferior mushrooms. I could have made so much money. Sunday. Me and Rally ended up having to wake up really early so we could get to Boston for the super cutter. When we got there, we ended up meeting our opponent, John Carney's older brother, Mike Carney. Hiya guys, are you ready to lose? I tried to come up with a witty comeback, but all I could come up with was, "Well, you're as smelly as a block of cheddar cheese, Mike." It's an alright insult, but not really a comeback. When the match actually started, me and Rally made the same pizza as last time, but this time sadly with no mushrooms. And Mike made an olive pizza. When the pizzas were actually rated, we were tied. This wouldn't have been an issue if Roderick didn't try to be hygienic for someone. So, at that point, the only way we were gonna win is by winning the delivery round. That's the main part of the super cutter. In it, the participants go on delivery scooters and try to deliver the most pizzas in only 2 hours. Man, it's my favorite part. Rally didn't want to get on a scooter without protection, so I was all on my own this time. Most of the deliveries were kinda uneventful, well, except for one where I fell down 11 flights of stairs. Ah! Somehow I survived that, but after my near-death experience, I was forced to clean up my mess by the apartment staff, which ate up 10 minutes of my time. By halftime, I was exhausted. I missed 17 deliveries and ran out of gas for the scooter by then. So, I decided to take a break to watch the halftime show with Rally. You haven't lived until you've seen Loaded Diaper perform with stale pizza slices and pepperoni sticks. The final round was after halftime. In it, we have to deliver a pizza to our actual houses that are dozens of miles away. That's only been done once in every 32 years, so usually people playing wait it out, but me and Rally were lagging behind, so sadly, it was our only option. There was just one teeny tiny little problem with that plan. I forgot to refill the scooter. Whoops. Man, I screwed up big time. And looked like we were gonna lose again. And to make things worse, one of the announcers wanted to have a word for me and Rally. We didn't really have a choice, so we both went to his booth. Are we disqualified or something? Disqualified? No. Actually, the guy that won last year donated his sports car during halftime. You wanna drive in it? We were taken to the car and it was actually pretty nice. It even had 10 balls of olive oil in the back. Who would have thought? I tried to get Raleigh to drive a car, but he said, "Sorry, Greg. Joshy says that it's wrong for people under the age of 16 to drive." That was a little annoying since I wanted to use that opportunity to snag some olive oil. So, I took the wheel and headed straight to Plainview. It took us about 90 minutes to get into Plainview, and we ran out of gas in the worst place possible. Lower Surrey Street. Everyone living there are massive McDonald's fans, and ever since they got rid of a McPizza in 2000, there's been a permanent ban on pizza there. Me and Raleigh snuck out of a car and we're about 100 feet away from Upper Surrey Street when we realized we had a problem. There was a massive electric fence I needed a key to power, so that meant we had to break into Mingo Manor to get one. The reason there even is a fence here is about 2 years ago, someone found out most of the trees in the woods are actually maple trees. The Mingos basically control both who goes in and out of the woods, so when the Lower Surrey Street kids tried to get some syrup from McGriddles, the Mingos ended up establishing a supply route to Lower Surrey Street. And Mingo Manor is where all of our stuff is, so if we're gonna get a key, it's most likely in there. I think that most of the guys guarding the place went out for lunch because, weirdly, there wasn't anyone in the storage room. Raleigh went to the basement to look for a key while I went to the kitchen, and I ended up finding Meckley Mingo. Luckily for me, he was asleep, but I didn't want to get beaten up, so I used his belt to tie him to the chair he was sitting on. I also tied his shoes together, for good measure. But after doing so, that's when I came up with an idea. I could interrogate Meckley to force him to tell me where the key was.
Huh? Who are you? What are you doing in my manor?
Listen, Meckley, you're gonna open the gate for me and my friend, or I'll...
Oh yeah? What's some tall wimp like you gonna do, huh?
Weirdly, it didn't work. This probably wasn't the first time a 14-year-old held him hostage. Now, I'm not as strong or even politically influential like Meckley is, so I have to threaten him with something petty. Yeah! Like force feeding him something that's not McDonald's. Everyone here hates something that's not McDonald's. So, I was obviously gonna make a new pizza out of McDonald's menu items. I started the dough, which I recycled from a few dozen unfried chicken nuggets. It's as disgusting as it sounds. The sauce was half ketchup and half tangy barbecue sauce. It was a little too sweet, so I also added frying oil to the mix. I grinded up cheese from a bunch of random burgers and added it to the pizza. Now, that could have been it, but I wanted to see if I can make pepperoni from scratch. You see, pepperoni is basically made out of beef, pork, and paprika. Now, I could easily get the first two from burgers, no problem with that. But McDonald's doesn't serve spices. So, the dipping sauces are the closest things they have to spices. So, I looked for the ingredients list of all of them until I found the best ones. So, after adding sweet and sour sauce and a few others, the mix just wasn't spicy enough, so I added an extra spicy buffalo sauce to it to spice the flavor up. The result was a sweeter than usual pepperoni pizza. I then tried to interrogate Meckley again.
Ha! You think a simple pizza is gonna make me talk? Wait, what's that thing made of?
Oh, items from the good old McDonald's menu. The dough's made out of raw chicken nuggets. The cheese is from melted cheese slices, and the pepperoni is a combination of burgers of different kind as well as condiments.
Ah! That thing's an abomination and a curse upon mankind! Get it away from me!
Well, Meckley, either you tell me where the key is, or I'll make you eat this pizza.
Okay, you win. The key's in the top cabinet. Just get away from me!
After I took the key, Me and Rally exited Mingo's manor and depowered the fence. But at that point, we only had less than 5 minutes left, so we were scrambling down the street. Eventually, we were at a border between Upper and Lower Survey Street, but that's when a bunch of Lower Survey Street kids on a pickup truck showed up. They saw the pizza and immediately started driving after us. Obviously, me and Rally cannot run a truck uphill, and my house was near the top of that hill, so we were done for. Luckily, Rally came up with a plan. Listen, Greg, if I stay here and let those guys beat me up, you'll have enough time to take the pizza to your house. Now, I wasn't surprised when Rally said that, but I really didn't want to leave him behind. Sadly, he lives further up the hill than me, so I didn't really have a choice. But I'll make sure to honor his sacrifice by winning the super cutter. I took the pizza from Rally and ran straight to my house. Eventually, I got to my house, and even better, with about 10 seconds left, causing me and Rally to win the super cutter. Now, it should have been the happiest moment of my life, but Rally wasn't there. If it weren't for him, there wouldn't even be a pizza to win with. And at that point, I knew what I wanted to do. I was gonna go back and get Rally before the guys with the trophy came to my house, because I needed to share this moment together with him. But first, I would need something to defend myself with. So, I went to my room and grabbed my old squirt gun and loaded with a mix of marinara sauce and a bunch of paprika. Now, the Lower Surrey Street kids would have probably seen me coming if I just ran down the hill, so I used the drainage pipes. Don't worry, kid. Once you eat this rotten Happy Meal burger, you'll be just like us and realize that pizza is in fact the most mid food in the entire world.
No! I can't think pizza's mid.
Hey boss, isn't that the wimpy kid from earlier?
Oh yeah, let's get him!
Damn, I got a little too close, so I had to act fast. So I sprayed the guy holding Rally in the face, and me and Rally made a break for it. Luckily for us, the guy I sprayed was actually a driver, so the Lower Surrey Street kids couldn't keep up with us, especially with their fast food diets. We got to my house in about a minute, and the trophy guys came half an hour later. And Rally was shocked when they arrived because I hadn't told him I didn't accept the trophy yet.
Wait, Greg, you didn't accept the trophy yet?
Yeah, Rally, I wanted to share this moment with you. We wouldn't have won if it weren't for your efforts.
You truly are a good friend, Greg.
It was probably the greatest moment of my entire life, and
I knew I definitely wanted to see how it looked on live TV.
Oh, Greg, sorry, but something's wrong with the TV. It's only playing video game shows for some reason. Now, I'm pretty sure that Mom and Dad have no idea how satellite TVs work. So, I flipped for the channels looking for one about my victory, but that was until I found one with my face on it. It was another me, like the ones that helped me got cancelled 5 months ago. I was completely dumbfounded. First off, I'm 74% sure that TV shouldn't pick up broadcasts from other universes. Also, the headline casually glossed over the fact, the end of the world? Literally everyone in the house was panicking, so we barely noticed what the me on the TV was even saying. Now, I know some of you might be worried that the other world is probably full of cannibals or something. So, to disprove this, I'll be bringing my own counterfeit from there as a special guest to quell your fears. I obviously do not like the idea of having to represent everyone I have ever heard of in my entire life. So, I went to the kitchen, grabbed a mezzolina, and prepared for the worst. About 20 seconds later, a bunch of guys forced themselves into the house. Now, I was completely fine with fighting them with the mezzolina, but Mom threatened to disown me if I did so. You're thinking of getting into a fight? What would Manny think of you? The worst part is that Mom sold off Manny so he can become the mascot of Manny Olga's yesterday morning. So, I'm pretty sure she just wanted an excuse to keep the carpet clean. But I probably should have kept my guard up, since one of the guys punched me in the back of the head when I turned to look at Mom. Ah!
Wow, you're really not cut out for fighting, Heffley.
I fell face first, and the guys literally dragged me out of the house and towards wherever the other me is. The day went completely off the deep end, and I had absolutely no idea what was going to happen next. But I did know one thing for sure. My problems weren't just about pizza anymore.